Hi, this is Simon Candy from acousticguitarlessonsonline.net and welcome to today's video where I'm going to show you 5 of my all-time favorite acoustic guitar riffs. Now these riffs are super fun to play, and what I'm going to do first is play the riff, break it down for you, give you an idea of the makeup of the riff, and then I'll give you some examples of the riffs being applied in a musical context. So you can take them and adapt them to your own playing. So let's get to it. So riff number 1 is kind of like a whole tone riff. So let me play it for you, then we'll break it down. This has a bit of a whole tone flavor to it. So what I mean by whole tone, if you're not sure what that is, it's the whole tone scale is where you're just moving in whole tones, which is 2 frets on the guitar. So if I start from an E note and I just move up 2 frets at a time, so E to F sharp to G sharp, B flat, C, hear the sound. It's quite a dissonant sound, and it's got this sort of infinite sort of quality to it where there's no real point of resolution. It just keeps sort of going. So this riff has that quality to it. It's not strictly whole tone scale all the way, but it's got that flavor to it. And what I'm doing is I'm bringing in open strings here, as a lot of these riffs will, as you'll hear. So I'm starting with an open E string, and then I'm hammering down onto the 2nd fret and then the 4th fret. I'm not picking the string again. I'm just picking it once and I'm getting both those notes. Then instead of going to the A note at the 5th fret, I pick the open A. And then, even without picking the string again, I'm going to come down onto the B flat and the C. So I don't even pick the B flat. You could, but I don't. Okay, and then I hit the open D string. And then again, in a similar way I did on the lower string, I am hammering down onto the 7th fret from nowhere. I'm not picking the string, I'm just hammering my finger down and then my 3rd finger down. Okay, so that's quite a dissonant sound. If you wanted to make it a little more consonant, if that's not nice to your ears or you don't like that sound, you could move this B flat C up to B and C sharp, and it will make it more sort of E major type tonality. So that's a little more in than I like that outside sound. You might not, that's perfectly fine, it's all subjective. So you could just simply move that up a fret and then make that adjustment in the riff. Either way, we're moving our way up. And then I'm hitting the 7th fret, the open, there's another dissonant tone there. And then the 7th fret on the 3rd string and the open top string. So again. And then the F sharp to the G. So it sort of goes from this whole tone sound outside, and towards the end of the riff it's resolving into the E major, or probably more specifically the E7 chord. Where could you use this riff? Well, anywhere over an E7 basically, at the very least. You can use it over an E7 chord. So if I play an E7, you can hear how it resolves into the E7 and resolves to the 3rd of that chord, the G sharp. So let's say we're playing like a blues in E and E, into the A, back to E, into the B7, etc. So I'm putting the line into an E blues, and so I was on the E7 to the A7, and when I got back to the E7, the 3rd bar of an E blues, I put in a little ascending run with the riff, and I actually took it 1 note further and played the open E. So often you'll adapt riffs to fit different occasions. It's not going to be a perfect fit most of the time, so you've got to manipulate them to fit. And that brought me into the A7, and then I actually descended it back to the E. So if you can ascend a lick, why not descend it? So I want you to take these riffs that we're looking at today. I'll give you some examples like that in applying them, and then take them and pull them apart and see what you can do with them. Riff 2 is very Jerry Reed type in its nature. Quite a few of these are. If you haven't checked out Jerry Reed, check him out. incredible guitar player, very unique, lots of open string riffs like the ones I'm showing you today. So this one, let me play it for you, then we'll break it down. Okay, so this is a really cool sounding riff. Once it's under the fingers, some riffs just naturally, you find them easier to play faster. This is one of those riffs. It's just got a sort of flow to it once you get it in the fingers, of course. So lots of open strings again, always sounds great on acoustic guitar. So it's an E7 bass riff again. And we're sliding into the third of the riff. I'm using my third finger. Sometimes I might use my pinky, but your third is certainly fine. So we're sliding into the riff, playing the open first string, 7th fret on the 2nd, and then the 8th on the 3rd. So that's the opening. And then we've got 2 open strings, 1st to 2nd open string. And then we've got the 7th fret on the 3rd, open 2nd again, then the 6th on the 3rd to the 8th on the 4th. And then open 2nd, open 3rd. So let me go slowly there again. Sliding in 8 to 9, open, coming down, opens, open again, opens, and then I slide into the 6th and I finish on an open first string. Okay, and the nature of that is you can get it quite quick if you want. Don't think you got to play these riffs really quickly. They sound great. Nice and slow too. I've used that riff lots of times, lots of different permutations of that riff. And one example would be in a song called Windy and Warm, which is a, I don't know who originally did that, but all the finger pickers, all the Travis pickers have done it. And it's got a little section that goes all on A minor. Then it's got F, and on this E, and then it's back into the tune. So it goes from this F, and when it goes to E, I go into that riff. But notice, I'm only using part of the riff. I don't have time to fit that whole riff in there, and the goal is not to try and squeeze the whole riff in. This is where you've got to manipulate the riff and just take little fragments. If you've got a riff, break it down. There's many riffs inside any one riff, right? It's like a babushka doll, if you know that type of thing. Doll within a doll within a doll within a doll. There's all sorts of riffs in there. So I'm just taking the first part of that riff. So from the F, and then I'm back into the tune there. I also sometimes do this. So there I'm still only playing part of the riff, but I'm playing more of a triplet feel, and therefore I can fit more of the riff in there. So I'm either doing this, or, okay, either one of those works really well. I'm sure you could come up with your own. You don't have to apply it to that tune. That is called Windy and Warm if you do want to check out that tune. But it would work over any tonality that is E7. And if you adjust it more, you could make it fit other chords. But certainly E7 will work great with that riff. Riff 3 is a little bit different. No open strings here, or very few open strings. It's got a bit of a jazzy flavor to it. So I'm going to play it for you, then we'll break it down. So this riff is pretty much a G Mixolydian riff, at least up front, right? I'll show you what I mean in a moment by that. But what we're doing is we're using this G Mixolydian scale. Don't worry if you don't know what that is. It's basically C major. Well, it's a C major scale, but I'm using it with a Mixolydian flavor. You don't need to know that, but that is what's happening. And then I'm using some chromaticism here. This is why we get this jazzy sort of sound to this lick. So I'm chromatically stepping down from the B down to the A, and then I've got a pull off from F to from G to F, 8 down to 6, and then this is some chromaticism here. Might not look like it because you're on adjacent strings, but if you look at what I'm doing here, it's just that. It's the E flat to the E, but I'm not playing E flat here. I'm playing it on the 3rd string and then playing the E on the 2nd. Okay, so that's the opening of the riff. And then a similar move here. We get the pull off from D to C, or 7 to 5, and then chromaticism. In the same way, instead of the B flat to the B flat on the string below, and then the B. So same move as here. Hear that little motif, or motif. Okay, and then we're coming down, sort of arpeggiating, a little bit of an arpeggio here, E minor, coming down the strings, and then a pull off from 5 to 3, chromaticism again, this time on the same string, going from B flat to B, one open string in this riff, and then resolving to the G. So slowly. Now here's, as I've said with the first two riffs, or particularly the last riff, you don't have to, and probably rarely will you use the whole riff when you're applying it. There's lots of little riffs inside that. For example, there's a little riff, or just that, or no, didn't do that. Yeah, you can take little segments of it and create little smaller riffs, and smaller riffs are probably going to be easier to fit into playing than some big scale run down. So don't see it as a complete riff and that's how you've got to play it all the time. Rarely will you do that. You've got to fit them. So this one naturally lends itself well to G7, but it will fit great over a D minor 7 chord. Right, so I'm just taking little parts of the riff and resolving to chord tones of D minor 7 in this case. That's the third. That's the root, right? It also fits great over a C major 7 chord. Resolve to the third of the chord. So just using the top part of the riff, or maybe you can do whatever you want to the riff. It's going to work great in, well, the reason why it works great over those chords is because all these chords come from C major. So anything, it's a C major based riff. One of the modes of C major is G Mixolydian, so that's why it works. But all those chords belong to the same family, the same key. So that riff is going to work great over those chords. So break them up and play around with it. You know, get under the bonnet and pull it apart and see what you can do with it. It's a cool riff that you could get a lot of mileage out of. Riff number 4 is another one in the style of Jerry Reed. I'm pretty sure I pinched this one from him somewhere along the way. Let me play it for you and then we'll break it down. Okay, so this riff is using open strings again. It's one of those riffs that you can get a little bit of speed with reasonably easily once it's under the fingers. It takes time, of course, but some riffs are easier to play faster than others. But again, all these riffs work at any tempo, really. This riff is based around an A7 chord this time. So what we're doing is we're starting on the A, on the 7th fret of the 4th string, playing an open second, sliding from C sharp into D, open E, F sharp into G, open E again, F sharp, E flat into E, open B, slide into the C sharp, the 3rd of the A7, and finish on the root. So slowly. Very cool riff. I love these riffs with the open strings and some chromaticism, which is happening. I mean, we've got that little side step there, there's a little bit of chromaticism there, but this one I really like where we're hitting the E flat on the 9th fret, and then instead of going to the E there, we get the open E. So it's resolving, it's going in and out a little bit. Okay, so it's over an A7, so it would work great, for example, in an A blues. Back to the 4 chord. Now, what I did there, and this is again getting in and pulling the riff apart, I didn't start from the start of the riff. I just came in sort of halfway, right where we slide from the F sharp to the G. I did that. So you're sort of on this A, D, and then A, and back into the D7. So you can sort of, you know, play little parts of it, or maybe even you could play the last part of the riff and then that little middle section of the riff. So you can kind of chop it up and try it in different orders and again create different lines from it. So that one works really nicely in an A7 blues or anything with an A7 flavor to it. Okay, so riff number 5 is a little bit different. It's got a bit of a harmonic flavor to it, a harmonic minor flavor to it. So let me play it for you, then we'll break it down. Let's have a look here. It's starting on the F note, it's in an open position and pulling off to the open first string. Then we've got a series of pull-offs on the second string, 3 to 1 to open. Then just the second to first fret on the third string. Then we're third, second, open on the fourth as we are on the fifth. And then just the open fourth string and the open, not the open fourth string, the fourth fretted note on the fifth string and the open fifth string. So very slowly. Now you might see me use certain fingers here, like my pinky there. You could use your third finger, that's okay. There's options here. Sometimes I use my third and first there. Sometimes, let's see. Sometimes I use my fourth and my second. That might feel really uncomfortable to you. You could use your third and your second and your first. So there's a few options with the fingerings for this riff. So feel free to play around with that. But it sounds great over the 5 chord of A harmonic minor. So A harmonic minor, the 5 chord is E7. So you hear that E7. Okay, it's got that harmonic minor sound. It might work well sort of in a flamenco sort of. So you got that sort of, you know, Spanish progression, G, and you've got your F, and you get to your E, and back to your A minor. So it could work in that sort of context. Basically, the riff is starting in E7 and resolves to the 1 chord A minor of A harmonic minor. So you got this E7 and resolving to the A minor. So the chord's been implied at E7 to A minor. So another place where this riff can work, and I've used it before like this, is in a tune called St. James Infirmary. So that's in A minor and it's got a chord progression. It's like an 8-bar blues in a minor key. So it's like A minor, F, C, E, and then A minor, E7, A minor, and it comes down to this F, and I do the run like that. See A minor, G in the bass. I'm just altering the rhythm a little bit to fit it in. Now I don't have to necessarily do that. I could omit notes out of it like I did with previous riffs, but there's lots of ways to use it. It just sounds really cool there on the F. Okay, there's a quick little trill there. Okay, so I've used it there and many other places. So hopefully that gives you some ideas of how you could use that riff in your own playing. If you like this video, then you'll love this ebook audio I've created for you called Unique, Refreshing and Unpredictable Sounding Fingerpicking Riffs for Your Acoustic Guitar Soloing. In this ebook, you learn the open string soloing approach, plus a number of open string riffs and runs you can use in your own playing. First, you get the method down. Then you learn some really cool sounding open string riffs born from this unique approach. You also learn how to connect these riffs together in various ways to create some great sounding guitar solos. There'll be 2 solos I'll walk you through in this ebook that demonstrate how to inject this style into your own guitar playing. So click the link below in the description of this video and download your free copy of the ebook audio Unique, Refreshing and Unpredictable Sounding Fingerpicking Riffs for your acoustic guitar soloing. Let me know in the comments what acoustic guitar topics you'd like to see covered in future videos. A lot of the things I do cover are suggested by you. So don't be shy, drop us a line in the comments below and I will check it out. If you like this video, then hit the like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and of course hit the all important notification bell button so YouTube can tell you when I've released a new video. This is Simon Candy from AcousticGuitarLessonsOnline.net. As always, I really do appreciate you taking the time to check out my videos. I hope you have enjoyed this one, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video.